Uh-oh.
We live?
We
live, Quezzy?
We live? We live.
It looked like we live.
Yeah, it looks like we live.
So it's official.
For those that don't know, I'm your man, Cat.
And this is Quessy. And this is the Cat and Quessy show.
Well, hold on. It is the Cat and Quessy show, but
it is the Cat and Quessy show. I think we got a special announcement.
Yeah, we have.
I think we got a special announcement today. Maybe kind of, sort of. I think y'all see somebody in red on fire. On fire. If you're watching this live.
We have a new member to the team.
What?
The Dream Team.
The Dream Team? The starting
three? Come on. So we officially have brought on Ruby Envy. She has been a guest favorite. So now it's the Cat, Quezzy, and Kenya show, y'all.
What?
That's a working title right now. We're gonna come with the official title in a little bit.
Well, congratulations, Ruby. Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
Welcome to the family.
Before we even get started, I mean, of course, we got to do our intro. You know, this is Cat, of course, and you're listening to Quessy, and this is the Cat and Quessy show, where we bring to you finance, fitness, and self-care advice, especially for people of color. Y'all already know the deal. This is episode 13. But, Cat, who is this sponsored by?
This is sponsored by Heal the Hood, where we go into our inner city communities and educate, inspire, and motivate those to live a healthier life one day at a time, y'all.
There it is. This is also brought to you by Alignment Agency, where wealth and wellness unite. You already know where to find us. But now that we got Kenya on the show, who else is this show brought to you by?
This show is also brought to you by Ruby Envy Wellness, where we support our clients on their journey towards holistic health.
Come on.
Man, it's some power right here.
Mind, body, and spirit.
Oh, you already know.
Body and spirit.
You already know.
Mind, body, spirit.
Hold up. We got to announce, of course, we got a special guest in the building, but today's episode is, let's get a drum roll, y'all. Let's get a drum roll. You already know what to do. Drum roll going. Today's episode is Your Network is Your Net Worth. Bow, 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 bow.
Going down.
Oh, no, she got the 600.
So some people are not going to have some friends after this episode, y'all.
Hold up.
The circles is going to get smaller. The circles is going to get smaller.
Kevin, come on. I want to keep my friends, though. How can I keep my friends and still, make these big dollars like you, brother? Like, what do I need to do?
Let's manifest it. Let's have a conversation about that. Let's see how we can make that work. Absolutely.
Let's do it. So before we hop into it, I do want to give a proper introduction to today's special guest. And I'm so excited to have this gentleman on here. He's been highly requested by the powers that be. But if you don't know, this is Kevin Taylor. He was born and raised in the Bay Area. He's a hometown hero. Y'all already know. He attended CSUS University, where he graduated and got into a corporation, which he'll tell you a lot more about during this conversation. He was a business partner for Target. If anybody knows Target, remembers Target, he was a business partner with them. And in 2017, he made that transition from corporate America to being an entrepreneur. He jumped off the deep end. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. And he's currently building a financial service agency and expanding nationwide. So with that being said, I have the pleasure of introducing today's special guest, Mr. Kevin Taylor.
Man, well, it's definitely an honor.
World famous.
Definitely a pleasure. I appreciate it, my brother.
Ta-da,
man. So what part of the Bay Area are you from or grew up in?
Born and raised, Union City. So right in the East Bay. Okay. Right between Hayward and Fremont. You can't miss us. I know you guys know about Union City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. They beat us in a football game one time.
Man, look, the Colts, right? Football. We was holding it down in track and field. We was holding it down in act, speech, and debate. An amazing school. Amazing school, right in the heart of the East Bay. And I know you guys know about the Union Landing. Everybody spent time at Union Landing. But I'm born and raised in Union City. Absolutely.
I'll be honest, I'm not from the Bay Area, so I know Oakland and I know San Francisco. That's all I need to know.
You don't even know Berkeley, Quezzy. You don't even know my hometown.
Oh yeah, also Berkeley.
Thank you.
Berkeley, but mostly
I'm hurt.
In San Francisco.
I'm wounded. Yeah.
SoCal represent. But Anyway, KT, it is so good to see you. I have known you for quite some time now. You are actually one of my primary inspirations for making my own transition into the entrepreneur life. So I'm very, very grateful to have you on today's episode. But let's hop into it. So if you wouldn't mind, just share a little bit of your background. I mean, of course, you're from the Bay Area, but who are you? Who were you before you even got involved with Target?
Yeah, absolutely. Just catch me if I get a little long with it, because it can get kind of deep. But I'll keep it simple. Born and raised in the Bay Area, and growing up, I was that guy that I just did everything I thought I was supposed to do. So in high school, I was the athlete. I did acting. My parents told me to get a job. Had a job. Was working. My dad's a firefighter. He's a retired firefighter now. My mom worked in a hospital, and my stepmom was a lawyer. So I grew up around people that like to help people, obviously. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something in life where I'm making an impact in someone's life.
Yeah.
And, because I'm someone that did everything that I was supposed to do after high school, Ruby, where did they tell you to go?
College.
Typically, right? College.
Mm-hmm.
My parents wanted me to get a further education. So at 18 years old, I remember I graduated. It was my birthday. I packed my bags, and I was going out the house. Left the house.
It's time to get out.
Going to California State University, Sacramento, where I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. So I was a criminal justice major because I wanted to be a juvenile counselor. I just wanted to be that leader for the youth. I wanted to be that leader for people that needed help. And there's a lot of people that need help. That's obviously in the criminal justice system. That's what I wanted to do. And after college, what did they tell you to do? Go work in corporate. So, Kat, I had that piece of paper that they told me to get that degree.
Come on,
right?
You had the picture and everything.
Right?
The picture and everything.
Right? That's what they told me to do. Go get that degree.
$40,000 piece of paper.
Right? Absolutely. But I jumped into corporate America right out of college. And, they told me to, when you work in corporate, you should be making a 6-figure income. They told me to get your benefits. They told me to get your retirement.
So I did everything
I was supposed to. Absolutely. I did. I was just following the system, right? I did what I was supposed to do. Yep. So you fast forward, I was I ended up working for Target. So all, the Bay Area, Target Corporation. And I was with Target for about 9-10 years. And Ruby got promoted every single year. Because they told me work in corporate and you work hard for yours, right? You hustle and you work hard. And I'm a very ambitious person. So I was at Target for about 9-10 years. I got promoted every single year. I got my little 10% bonus every year. I was dominating.
You're feeling good about yourself.
I thought I made it. I thought I made it. I was dominating almost every field that I was in. I'm single, no kids, doing well in corporate. I'm not gonna lie, Ruby, Quessy, you couldn't tell me nothing. I thought I made it. And honestly, by destiny, some information came my way. On finances. Let's even take it another step, wealth at the end of the day, right? How to generate wealth. And I was open-minded at the time to learn, right? That's a problem. Most people, they're not open-minded just to learn what's out there for you. So came across some powerful information on wealth, took advantage of it. You didn't have to tell me twice, Kat. You didn't have to tell me twice. Took advantage of the opportunity, made some adjustments in my portfolio, right? Made some adjustments in my portfolio so that I was now headed in the right direction. And then I realized how many people needed the knowledge that I knew. Because I was someone that did everything I was supposed to do. I was taught everything I thought I was supposed to be taught. But Ruby, how could they didn't teach me that? How come no one taught me about wealth?
Right. So we talked about that last episode too. We're
going to get to the juicy stuff in a second over there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What I want to ask you is prior to that, because we're talking about your network is your net worth, right?
Okay.
When you were in corporate America, what was your network looking like? Where were the people that you were surrounding yourself with, and your surroundings and that point in your life? What kind of messages were you feeding off of each other?
I'll put it like this. I'll be transparent with this group. the associations that I had in corporate, I put it like this. I did surround myself with a lot of leaders. I can tell you that. And I feel like the associations that I had is what manifested to what I'm able to do now, because I was blessed to have a strong circle of leaders, right? My mindset is different now than I was in corporate, but my circle, I put it like this, Target Corporation was real big on leadership development. I wouldn't have got promoted 9 times if as a man, I didn't work on my leadership. So my circle had to been tight. My mentors were strong. Okay. I did have a lot of support, and I feel like I had a good circle of associations that poured into me, so that now that I'm in the position I'm in, I'm able to do the certain things. But to answer your question, what I realized is those associations and that network that I had, from a scale to like 1 to 5, from a vision, from how much they're actually net worth, to the impact and the value that they're bringing into community, was at a lower scale to the associations that I'm having now. My circle now is with kings and queens that are out here really making a difference in our community. Yeah. You know, I went from making a corporation wealthy to now making people like you wealthy.
Oh my goodness.
So, so even though I did have good associations, now that I know what real associations are, it's a whole different ball game than where I'm at.
That's all you knew at the time, right?
That's all I knew.
During court,
I thought I was doing
you get caught. Yeah, you get caught up in that American dream, because I was there too. I was in marketing and sales with corporations like AT&T, DirecTV, Comcast, doing marketing and sales with them. And same thing, making 6 figures, running teams. And at that time, you know, your network of people that are moving up the ladder, telling you what the next step is, what to do, you know, and you have your benefit package and all that kind of stuff. You're in that world, and you can't really sometimes think outside of that, right?
Yeah.
So my next question, I know everybody has a lot of questions. What was that moment where you knew that I can step away from this because I'm so in it? I've been in it for the last 2 years. I've seen the success. I've seen the growth. Now, how do I disassociate myself with that network that has built me up to step into something that I'm not familiar with and able to go on this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, it's funny how things work out in life. So when I was growing up in the corporate system, I was in charge of assets protection. So my goal was to make sure all my clients, all the employees and the customers, they were taken care of. I was making sure that I was minimizing shortage and increasing profits. So I was in charge of the assets protection, loss prevention, I guess you could say. And during my later career, I was actually about to open up my own security business. So I was in the corporate system, and I was like, man, I may target millions of dollars. I'm running thousands of, I can do this on my own. Let's just say that. Yeah. So before I left, I was actually about to launch and start my own security company called Tailor Made Securities. My last name, Tailor Made Security, had the LLC question, everything. I was ready to go. So I already seen that I was going to be leaving. I realized, I was dealing with a lot of politics, as an African-American young man, getting promoted 9 times at a prestigious position. You can only imagine the type of politics that I dealt with. So, you take the politics. I had in my gut feeling I was ready to be my own boss. I was at
potential in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like this, my belief level of who I am and what I know I'm worth. You can't put a salary on what I'm worth. So it came a point in my career that the higher I grew, I realized my vision and my capacity of thinking was bigger than where I was at. And Target couldn't put a price tag on this king right here. So I was actually going to branch out. And then literally by destiny, an opportunity presented itself for me. And most people don't see the blessings that's in front of them. They're praying for something bigger. They want something bigger. They feel it in their soul. There's something better for them. And then when it knocks on the door, they don't answer. Well, I wasn't that guy.
Well, they're like this.
I opened the door. Open the door.
Let me ask something, because you just touched on a really good point, and I'm praying that some of the viewers who are watching us live and are listening to the rebroadcast, I hope they caught that. But you were starting to get a gut feeling that it was your time to transition, right? And then all of a sudden, an opportunity was presented to you that allowed you to transition. So how large of a part did manifestation, like intentional manifestation, how large of a part did that play in your current journey?
Well, I put it like this. I've always worked on, I put it like this. Because I was in corporate and worked on my leadership, because I worked on my leadership so much, as a leader, you have to have a vision. So it came a point where I got to a certain level in corporate where I feel like I reached a cap. So my vision started to go further than what Target can offer me, which is why I started to open up, which is why I wanted to create my own business. So literally it was just, I just reached a certain mindset, and I just reached a certain vision on who I was at the end of the day. Like, there's always a quote that I always remember. A lot of people get hired to build someone else's dream. Like, I got hired at Target to build their dream, the Target family's dream. So a lot of people are hired to build someone's dream, but when are you going to build your own dream? When are you going to create your own legacy? So
well, part of it, let me ask you something, Kevin, because part of it, especially, I can only speak from my perspective and a lot of people in the Black community. We are groomed by our families and trained to get jobs and to work in the jobs until you either drop dead or turn 65 or whatever, or both.
Right.
And so the concept of moving out of that, being kind of a slave to somebody else's dream, right, is terrifying. It is terrifying. I mean,
I'm pretty sure you got
retired
too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, people told me I had lost my mind when I retired from my job, because I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to go do that. And it's just not supported because it's not considered as stable. So we're not really taught to rely on our own steam and to rely on our own gifts, maybe as a side hustle, sure. But as a main hustle that puts the food on the table and pays the mortgage or whatever, that's something that we're kind of trained to work for somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with working for somebody else, but trying to get out of that mindset when, like you said, you knew yourself, you knew that you were meant for something greater and different. How do we get people to that point?
Yeah.
If they have that dream within them, deep, sometimes it's deep within, how do we like spark and support that? Especially in our young people, because it's scary out there, and we live in the Bay Area and it's very expensive here.
And that's a good point. I really think the secret to kind of evolve that mindset is self-development.
Yes.
I feel like, again, because I worked on my leadership for so long at Target, I just realized my worth. But guess what? They don't teach leadership in school. Find a chapter for me, Kwesi, in middle school. Elementary, middle school, high school, where they're talking about leadership. So we don't even give our community an attempt to grow as leaders, to identify their self, to be aware of who they are, to identify their gift, to realize there's something bigger than where they're at. So to answer your question, I think the secret is self-development. And how can we teach self-development and leadership at a younger age so that our youth can realize that they're worth more than what these corporations are going to give them, that they have a gift inside of them that the world is waiting for. I mean, I can keep going. I think that's how can we change this way of thinking?
Yeah.
At an earlier
that's
age.
That's an amazing question.
I think a lot of it is presenting them with leaders that look like them. Think about going through the school system and talking about the leaders and the creators of all these things that we see nowadays in America, right? They're all Caucasian people, right?
Right.
And with that being said, you're like, well, I have to work for somebody that does greatness versus me seeing myself and somebody that looks like me doing these things,
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's the programming at a very young age, not seeing anybody that you're told that's a leader that's doing amazing things that can translate into your community, right?
Absolutely.
But also understanding that job is not going to come from the schools. That's going to come from the families in the homes and from adult mentors and things like that, because these schools, most of these public schools, can't see past Martin Luther King. That's it. But Black History Month, Martin Luther King. That's it. That's it. That's the only Black person that ever did anything in life is Martin Luther King. And so if we're talking about starting from a younger age, we talked about this in our last episode when it came to money, right? Training people, training children, teaching them about money management and credit and stuff like that early. It is exactly the same thing when it comes, if we're going to be talking about things like entrepreneurship or building your own dream or not being afraid to step outside of the box, that can't come. We can't rely on schools to do that. So then we have to reach not only for our own kids, if you have your own children, but you have to reach to and mentor other kids and other people in those kind of lessons, because they're not going to get it.
Kevin, when you were growing up, did you know any entrepreneurs like in your environment, in your community that looked like you?
I feel like this. I mean, in our communities growing up, there was entrepreneurs. There was entrepreneurs. But to answer your question, like, not like
to the
that.
capacity that you were looking to do that.
Not to that capacity. Yeah, they was all around.
And for the people who may not know what that means, right? Like, he talked about the corner boys. The corner boys.
It was around. It was around.
Yeah, they were around.
Really hit a great point. And then even before you even get to teaching people, where we really got to build a foundation is the environment that we're creating for people. It starts with your environment. Before you can, if you're not in the right environment, you can have a seed, but if you don't put the seed in the right environment, it's not going to grow. It's not going to grow. So how as leaders, and I'm talking transparent with you guys, because I see what you guys are doing. You guys are making a big impact in the community. So how can we get in there into our communities and really shine light on the importance of having a strong environment, having a strong core? And it literally starts in your household. Luckily I had strong parents. My dad's a retired firefighter. And now that I'm growing and realizing the type of leader that I need to be, the type of man that I need to be, what a king really is, I was like, man, my dad's a king all this time. Disciplined, strong, put his life on the line as a firefighter, was in the Navy. I mean, man, I had examples of it. I just didn't see it. But we need more examples in our community. And by having more examples in our community, it's going to help the environment. And if we can get the environment going, it's going to make it easier for us to identify and develop leaders as well. So let's focus on that environment, and let's focus on building their mindsets at the same time.
That's it. And personally, I've been doing a lot of reading and self-education lately. And I want to ask, like, for everybody, including our guests, has anybody ever looked into, well, first, have y'all heard the term fired? Right? Have y'all heard that in reference to like a job? Have y'all heard like, fired? Oh, I just got fired, right? Has everybody heard that before? Yeah, we're all pretty familiar. Does anybody know where that actually comes from? Like that term fired?
No.
Right? Isn't that so interesting? Like it has, in my mind, it has no relevance in concerns of like, unless you're a firefighter, right? But outside of that, like everybody uses this term, right? And the reason I bring this up is because what Kevin mentioned is an amazing point. Like we have to start when they're young, but I'm a true believer that we got to go to where we're from in order to understand where we're going, right? So one night, this is actually just a few nights ago, I was reading a book and one of the characters said, oh, I just got fired, or I'm scared of getting fired, right? And I was like, well, it's just one of those moments, like, where did this come from, right? So I just started doing some research and I found stuff from like the early 1900s. And I'm like, this has to be way older than that, right? And believe it or not, one thing I actually came across is that, well, okay, let me take a step back, right? So y'all know capitalism, right? Just this economic system that we operate on here in America, obviously, right? So capitalism, if you're listening, it basically means a lot of people have a little bit and a little bit of people have a lot, right? Just look at the top 5% own like 95% of the wealth, okay? Everybody gets that. But do we understand that that's based and founded on how this country was founded, right? And when we consider the foundation of this country, there were a whole lot of people you know, like people from Africa, people from Native America who were doing all the work and making literally no money, right? That's the foundation of capitalism that we still base our economic system off of. Okay, bringing this back around to fired, right? So what I found when I was doing research, I don't know how true this is, right? But what I found is that sometimes slave owners would lock their slaves into cabins, right? Like if they weren't profitable, they would lock their slave in their cabin and then set it on fire, right? Just as an example to the other slaves, if you don't work, then I will fire you, right? I don't know how true that is. Don't cite me on that, but that's the oldest reference that I can find to the term fire.
Wow.
So bringing it now, oh yeah, we get real on this podcast. So bringing it now to the current, right? When we understand, like Ruben made an amazing point about it starts with the youth, right? Like how do we put ourselves in a position to educate young people on the fact that anything is possible, right? I believe it starts way, way before their kids, right? It starts with our history and understanding, like even, y'all not here to hear questions. Like we're gonna get Kevin. I got a really good question for you. Like I traveled to Ghana, right? And me as a Black American, I traveled to Ghana and I saw like, oh, this is like kind of sort of where a lot of Black people are from, right? And I saw everybody in Ghana is a freaking entrepreneur. Everybody is selling something, like whether it's carvings, whether it's dresses, whether it's doing hair, everybody's hustling, but barely anybody's an employee. And then you look at America, like the exact opposite. Polar opposite. You're a freaking weirdo if you don't got a job. Like, so I really want you to touch on this. Like, go to freaking Africa. Everybody, if you listen to this, go to freaking Africa. I don't care if you're Black, white, Hispanic. It don't freaking matter. Go to freaking Africa.
Let's talk about it yesterday.
We're gonna do an episode on that. But I want to ask you, right? You were really good in corporate America. You weren't just an employee. Like you were climbing the food chain as a young Black man in corporate America. That's revolutionary in and of itself. But I want to ask you, what was the most difficult part about that transition to entrepreneurship, right? And for people who may not even understand that, what is different about entrepreneurship from being an employee? And how did you make that transition so effortlessly?
So what was difficult was, and I'll just be honest, you know, I was never taught what an entrepreneur was. I never was taught what a business owner was. So I think the most difficult part was taking that first step. Taking that first step from a 9-year career, got promoted 9 times, making pretty good income, to you know what, I'm gonna put my future, my destiny in my own hands. So that was the hardest part, was taking the first step. But I believe, you know, I have strong faith, you know, and I have strong belief that, you know, you work on yourself so much. It all goes, I mean, you're going to find a common thing what I'm saying. When you work on yourself so much, you just are more self-aware of your gift and your capabilities, that you put all that into faith. And it's like, even though that first step's going to be tough, I know that I was built for a reason here, and I know God has my back, and I'm going to make it happen. So it's that first step that 95% of the world never take. That's why 95% of the world, unfortunately, are employees. And there's nothing against employees, because you need them. Like, who's going to, you know, when you go to the store, who's going to take care of you at the store? When you go to a restaurant, when we have power meetings at restaurants, who's going to give us our food? Like, we need those people. But at the same time, it's that 5% of the world that take that one step. And I genuinely believe the 5% that took that step are ones that a light bulb went off in their head on who they are, and that they have a gift inside of them, that they were a king and a queen, and that they were put on this earth to make a bigger difference. And they were just the courageous ones to take that first step. Yeah. Is it an easy step? Absolutely not. Is it? But I'm going to tell you one thing, and my team will tell you, Kwesi would tell you, I think I talked about it when I trained you. I'm real big on confidence, and I'm real big on being positive. If I had a son, that's one thing I would teach him. Out of all the leadership qualities, if you could be the most confident, don't be arrogant, but I need you to be the most confident person in the room, and I need you to be the most positive person in the room. And if you can have those two qualities, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. So that is something that I worked on. So that first step, I was confident that I was going to make it. I was positive that I was going to make it. And at the end of the day, I know who got my back. I know who got my back.
I was going to say, coming from a similar kind of situation that you did, you know, with corporate American and everything, I think a lot of people get caught up in where they're currently at, because say you're used to making your 80 to 100,000, just throwing a number out there, right? And becoming an entrepreneur doesn't have that guarantee of those numbers, right? Especially when you're just starting off, because that was one of the things I knew going into business for myself, and not having that guaranteed check every week and knowing that I had to go out and hustle and everything. I knew everything was on my back, but it wasn't no cap to what I can get and what I can provide to my family, right? And I think a lot of people get caught up in that fear of the unknown. And that's what stops them from making that step that 5% of the nation makes, saying that, well, worst case scenario, I just have to build myself up, right?
That fear is reasonable, though. That's a very reasonable fear to have, because this country will eat you alive, will chew you up and spit you out. And so, so sometimes the braver thing is to stay, you know, wherever you're at. I could have stayed in social work. I love the work that I was doing. There was a lot of things I didn't love about kind of the upper management, as I've said many times before, but the work that I was doing was valuable because I love kids, and that was just my thing. I was good at what I did. And so, yes, do I feel like it would have been kind of brave of me to stay till I was 65? Yeah, if I wanted to drop dead from stress. I wasn't trying to do that, you know, and so all of it is valid and all of it is good work. But if you are someone who is not feeling that, because a lot of people just love what they're doing, but if you're somebody who is not that person, right? If you're somebody who's like, deep in my soul, I know this is not for me. This job is not for me. I really feel like I have something different, not necessarily something more, because maybe what you're doing right now is more, right? But just something different that will fulfill you and feed your spirit better than the corporate job or whatever job you're doing, right? And so then it's a mindset. You had opportunities, you know what self-development is and growth, and you know about, you know, reading books and communing with people who will teach you a lot of people don't know that stuff. And so, you know, that's why we need to start young, because these kids don't know.
But even knowing that still puts a lot of people in that fearful state. So that's what I was going to get to. When you knew that you didn't have that 6-figure salary coming in, and that you're going to be building something from the ground up, what was the reinforcement in the back of your head that you knew that you were going to get it done?
I'll put it like this. If you're going to go, I'll put it like this. I think in the last 365 days, it came. I'll put it like this. We all know what happened with COVID last year, and what happened to a lot of businesses last year. They tanked. They tanked. So what I do recommend, if you're going to take that step, you got to jump into a business that's recession proof. And I realized that the business that I was going to start was recession proof. No matter what happened in the economy, no matter what happens in the world, I'm going to be in demand. When the market's doing well, they need me. When the market's doing bad, they need me. So I seen that. I seen that in the business. So I wasn't, I just didn't take a step like, hey, I'm just going to try this out. No, I, did some homework, and I realized that it knocked on my door, Kat, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then when I took a step back and looked at the knock, I was like, this is going to go somewhere. This is what this opportunity was. I was waiting for this. I think everything happens for a reason. Like, you guys know, we all know each other for a reason. We don't know right now what that reason is.
Come on.
Who knows what the partnership and the collaboration and the association is going to manifest to be? We don't know. I already feel the vibe sound powerful, but the business that I took a step in, I knew that it was a huge need for it, and it was going to solve a huge problem. If you're going to start a business, you have to be fixing a problem, you got to be fixing a problem in the community, and it has to be recession proof. And that's what gave me that extra confidence to take that step. That's what gave me that extra confidence.
That's it.
And I can't say that for all businesses. We can't, because we've seen what happened last year. Yes, there were some entrepreneurs that took a step and they did what they wanted to do in life, and their businesses shut down. And I'm sympathetic for that. Mm-hmm. That's why they need to come talk to me. I got opportunity for them. But
wow. There you go. Just want to throw that out there real quick.
Right, just gotta throw it out there. That's powerful. Yeah, but I think obviously for the obvious reason, before you take any step, you got to do your homework. You got to know what you're doing, and then because all that makes a difference in what you're going to do. Absolutely.
How did your family take to that? Because I know a lot of when you have family around you and they're seeing you living what they call the American dream, and then you tell them that I'm about to step away. You get a lot of fear, a lot of putting doubts into your head. Why would you do that? You just got promoted 9 times in the last 10 years. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? And I know a lot of times we, as a community, are very influenced from our families, right? So what was that process like for you when you were going through it? Like, hey, y'all, I got this idea. This is what it's going to be. I'm stepping away from this corporate gig that I've been killing this last 10 years. Did you get that positive reinforcement that you were expecting, or did you get some kind of fearful you might want to reconsider that?
You had to have people. You had to have people that were telling you not to do it.
Yeah, you got some good questions, my brother. I put like this. Yep, absolutely. Again, for me, for what I accomplished in corporate, when I made it clear that I was cutting the strings and going on a new journey, absolutely. It wasn't, I'll put it like this. They'll tell you, I'm someone that once I lock in on something, you just teach me what I need to do. And once I lock in on it, and then once because I'm a very passionate person. Mm-hmm. And once I release my passion, it's game over. So they knew that was going to happen, but it was the fear that they had of me to take that step. So to answer your question, yep, I did get a little, Kevin, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? You were doing good. Yeah. But on the flip side, I had a good support system where they were like, you know what? You a smart young man. And I did see what you did in corporate, and you were passionate about what you did, and you took it all the way to the top. So I know if you see this and you believe in this, then we're going to support you. So to this day, they support me. But when I first started, they were a little fearful. But it goes back to that environment you're in. And I was blessed to be in a good environment. And, fortunately, there's not a lot of people that are blessed to have the right environment, that are surrounded by people that are negative. So, I don't have time to share my whole story, it's going to make sense while I'm even here talking to you and where I'm going. But literally, because I did have a strong environment when I was young and supportive family. So when I made that move, to this day, they're still supporting me. Shoot, I'm taking care of them. They're some of my clients. My family's creating legacies right now. We creating banks, so absolutely.
Wow. And I want to address the elephant in the room, because my mind keeps going back to something that Kenya just said a few moments ago, right? And I feel like most of it, just statistically speaking, right? Let's say we have 100 people watching this show. I would say about 90% of them probably come from either a corporate background or they have a job, right? Just like statistically speaking. So I want to ask you, just in your experience, entrepreneurship for everybody.
Is it for everybody? I'll put it like this. It was built for everybody. We were brought on this earth to deploy our gifts. We were naturally supposed to be leaders and entrepreneurs, business owners. We all have a gift. We're supposed to be deploying that gift. So we're built to be
self-sufficient.
Yes, We're built to be entrepreneurs. We're built to be leaders. We're built to be business owners. Absolutely. But now that I'm an entrepreneur, now that I'm a business owner, do I feel like everyone's built? Everybody can do it. I want to say they. I put it like this. What I realize now, everybody has a role in life, and everybody's role. Now that I know what I know, isn't going to be, unfortunately, that 5%. Let's go there. Yeah. They're not going to, everybody's role in life or what people are doing. They're not going to. They're not built with the mindset, unfortunately, to be that 5% in the world.
Well, let's keep it real. Like, you have your entrepreneur, the lady on the corner that sells hot dogs, right? Is she going to be the next person that owns 100 franchises? You know what I'm saying? No, but she's an entrepreneur doing her thing. It's levels to it, right?
Absolutely.
You have other people that have that visions, like, hey, I can take this business, I can get it on every corner in this neighborhood and take it across the nation, and they have a whole different vision for that particular business. So it's different levels to entrepreneurship, you know?
And it's honestly the levels, and we still got so many levels to go. All of us. Am I where I want to be? Absolutely not. Do I know where I'm going? Absolutely. That's why I'm fired up every day. But honestly, to get to those next levels is honestly the amount of people that we can help, the amount of problems. If you can't, a hot dog person, they're not fixing problems. You know what I mean? So if you're able to fix a problem, if you're able to really help people, that's where you separate yourself to those other levels. So everybody's built to be an entrepreneur. The type of business that you're built to run, it might not be a business that's going to fix a huge demand in the world. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I realized the more that because I got my circle, my mentorship, the people that I'm associating with, a lot of people that are, high net worth, they're fixing big problems. They're fixing huge problems in the world. So you got to have a problem that you're fixing, and that'll determine the levels you'll grow in your business.
Kevin, you throwing out the hot takes, my guy. The hot takes today. No, I love it, though. I love it. And I want to ask this question, right, just as a follow-up, because, Kenya made some really good points, right, just about entrepreneurship, business ownership, going off on your own, going against the grain, right, really getting off the tee, like cutting the umbilical cord. That can be terrifying, especially when that's all that we know. That's all our parents knew. That's all our grandparents knew. Why would I want to do anything different, right? So my next question is 2 parts. I'll give you the first one. What are the benefits of entrepreneurship?
Well, the benefits is, one of the first big benefits is, you just get to control your own time. Time, I feel like this, time is one thing we never get back in this world. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. No one can take back time. And because that's the one thing we can never get back, the enemy is going to try to take your time. So as an entrepreneur, you position yourself where you officially start to own your time. And if you own your time, you own your freedom, So I think the biggest transition that I noticed when I went from corporate, working 9 to 5, like a robot, clocking in and out, is the fact that now I control and own my own time. That's the number one. I think that's the number one benefit. Like, what's today? Tuesday? I can, I was able today. Today was Pat Quessy. I had to make it work today for you, brother. And you already know, right after this, 100 people on some financial literature. But I was able to take care of errands. I was able, literally right before this, had a call, a Zoom call with my friends. I couldn't have did that in corporate. I was a robot. So that's the number one benefit that I've noticed is now that I'm an entrepreneur, I literally control my own time. That's the number one. And my future is now in my hands. I control my own destiny. I'm not relying on someone above me to dictate the future that I'm going to have, the type of food that I eat, the way I'm going to raise my family. Absolutely not. I control my own time now.
Wow.
So can I ask you? Can I? Let me. I just want to say, Kevin. So did you ease your way into entrepreneurship, or because it sounds like you got an opportunity, you felt like you wanted to do something different, maybe, and then an opportunity came to you. Did you drop everything? Did you just drop your old job? Did you give like 2 days notice and it was like peace, or did you kind of slowly transition? I know it took me years to transition to entrepreneurship. So I don't know how everybody else does it.
I feel like this. The way I did it, I don't recommend it for everybody. But I feel like this. I played my cards right. And I knew I was going to be exiting. So there was a point where I was doing the business and working at the same time, but I was playing my cards right. I was doing what I needed to do. And literally it took maybe less than 3 months. So I didn't take a year. Wow. I didn't take 2 years. Do I recommend 2 months? No, I don't recommend that for everybody. Everybody's different. And it also depends on your level of belief of who yourself, right? And that courage. But for me, to answer your question, it took me about 2 to 3 months where I realized, you know what? Hey, ready or not, here we go. And I'm going to go and jump in the water and make it happen. And I think that was one of the best decisions I made. And, and speaking of that question, I was thinking, man, I love these kind of talks. But I remember, I think it was in 2018, 2019, when I was teaching a training. I think you were there and I remember you were sitting front row seats. And I think that was the time you were in SoCal. You were working in SoCal or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember teaching, you were front row and you were locked in. And I remember after that training, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but after that training, you made a big decision that night.
Yeah.
And I think that was the decision that why you here right here.
Yeah.
So what was that decision you made that night because you was in corporate. I remember you were living in SoCal, working in SoCal, but after an orientation or training, you made a big decision that night.
Yeah. No, essentially I decided, like Kevin was saying, that I wanted to control my time, right? And so for me personally, I had known for a while that I wanted to do something different, right? Before I was even introduced, like I don't know any entrepreneurs in my family. Like I have an aunt that's a business owner, but she's like my great aunt. She's much, much older than me. So we never really had a chance to talk about what she was doing. I just knew she owned a company. And she was really she was like that one person in our family that owned the company. 99% of the others were employees, right? That's all that I knew. In all honesty, all I wanted was a job. This is back when I was in college. I just wanted a job paying me $100,000 a year. Right? I didn't understand taxes, but I just want a job that's paying $100,000 a year. And then I know that I did good, right? I pay $100,000 for my degree, right? Still, I just want $100,000 so that I would feel like a good employee, right? And over time, I saw my bosses have a lot of control over my life, right? Time I saw that even though I was making more and more money, for some reason, because I didn't know how money worked, I didn't know how to save more money, right? I was spending everything that I was making, and I was just constantly running in circles. And that's like I was on this IV drip called that biweekly pay, that IV drip. And it's like I get my drip, and then for some reason, at the end of every month, there's always more month than money at the end of every month. And that was like my life for years. And I was like, this doesn't make sense, right? I didn't know what else I wanted to do, but I could tell my mind was already pre-framing itself for a dive into something different, right? And it literally was when I was invited to the office just to hear a conversation, to see a presentation. And I was like, wow, this is different, right? This is different. And I knew I was doing the thing that everybody else was doing. I knew I was doing the thing that my parents told me to do, that all my friends were doing. But then I visioned forward and I saw people at my job who have been working there 20, 30 years. And I was like, this is my life in 20 years. And me personally, I decided this is not the life that I want to have in 20 years. Even though they were money, they had a wife and the kids, they had their white picket fence. I was like, this is not the life that I want in 20 years. And I knew I could keep going down this path and end up where they ended up, or I could do something different. And it was literally Kevin Taylor's conversation, him sharing his story, when I went to the office and I saw that for myself, and I was like, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I know if I keep doing what I'm doing, where I'm going to end up. I don't know where this is going to take me, but if it's anything other than this, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot.
That's powerful.
That was that. Thank you, Kevin.
That goes back to, honestly, and it goes back. Oh, no problem, man. I'm just thinking about that, and it just goes back to your associations, right? If we didn't have conversations, who knows where you would have been, right? If you didn't have the right associations, if you weren't in a right environment at that time with the right associations, who knows if you would have made that decision? So it always goes back to those associations and that environment you're in. And yes, unfortunately, there's more people in our community that unfortunately won't be able to. They won't. It's just we don't have enough leaders like you guys. We don't have enough leaders like us that are out here really, teaching and educating, building awareness on what's out there. So we got work to do out here, you guys. We got work to do in our community. And before I jumped on this podcast, because I was listening, to a few of you guys' stuff, and a challenge I have for you guys is, keep going out there and making a difference. Be consistent with your message. Go out there and really make sure you're out here, touching souls out here, making an impact in people's lives, because one thing I can tell you, in the space that you're in with podcasts, the media, it's an impactful world. It's literally a world that literally, I'm not going to say runs the world, but it's it's an influential space. And unfortunately, in the media space, I mean, you can listen to the songs, what's on, the videos, a lot of communication in that space isn't the best message people need to hear, So because you guys are diving in media and you guys are really based on communication, the challenge for you guys is make sure every single podcast you guys bring, make sure every single podcast you guys are out here making an impact in the community, because you'd be surprised just what you guys are doing right now, the lives that you can change, man, and the leaders that can manifest. I know there's going to be thousands of people listening to this one day, and it takes one leader to catch the message. It takes one person to have their ears and eyes open to what you said to change the world. Absolutely.
Well, because we're getting to the bottom of our show real quick, I know a jewel that you threw out a little bit earlier. You were talking about finding things that are recession proof, right? A lot of people start businesses, but they're not always recession proof, right? If you could throw a couple examples for those people that are interested in becoming entrepreneurs, what kind of things they should look for when it comes to finding those businesses that are recession proof. If you could give some examples, we appreciate it.
I mean, I put it like this, and that'll be a long one, but I put it like this. If you can start off by finding a problem, if you can start off by finding a problem, like Cap, I was looking, checking you out, you were doing health fitness, right? That's a problem, right? Yeah. That's a health wellness. That's a huge problem, my brother. So you found a niche that's going to fix a huge problem in the world. So you're going to be if you keep growing as a leader and you keep being consistent, you're going to be successful. Now you're tapping into the podcast space with communication. That's huge. That's in demand. Everything is Everything goes by communication nowadays, right? Yeah. So I think you just got to find a problem, and that's a start. That's a start. Finding a problem that whether the economy does bad, whether the economy does good, you're still going to be in need. Just like doctors, whether the economy does bad or not, they're fixing a problem. Dentists, whether the economy is bad or not, they're fixing a problem. You know what I mean? So can you find a problem that needs to be fixed and use that as your starter? Use that as your starter.
Boom. I hope people are listening to that, because Kevin's dropping some jewels to y'all this evening, y'all. And for those that are listening on our Spotify podcast show, make sure you go check this brother out. I know he's on LinkedIn. He was telling us offline. So he's going to be dropping all his social media platforms so you can follow him, reach out to him, and just get more information and seeing exactly how you can make that transition for your life as well. Any closing questions, y'all, before we get out? Because we only got a couple minutes left with Kevin.
No, I just want to say thank you. Right. Yeah. I just want to say thank you so much. That was fantastic. It was great having some conversations with you, because it was really inspiring. And I think a lot of people are going to take a look at this and think to themselves, maybe I can do what my dream is, you know? Yeah. So thank you so much.
No problem. And that was one goal I had. I was like, I don't know how many people are going to be watching. Thousands, I don't know. But I was like, man, if there's one person listening that can say, you know what, after hearing this message, I can do that too. You know what, I'm going to go chase my dream. I'm going to go be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go be a business owner. Because I realize the more entrepreneurs that we bring into our communities, the more business. Think about it. If everybody had a lot of businesses, that'll fix. You guys don't think that'll fix employment?
Huh.
You don't think that'll fix the economy? That'll fix a whole lot of stuff. I just told you one of the successful businesses are fixing problems. So if every entrepreneur identifies multiple problems, shoot, we
change the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
And then what I do know is this also: the more people that come entrepreneurs, that's also going to mean the more leaders that we're having in our community. Because it does take a certain mindset, it takes a certain vision, it takes a certain heart to be an entrepreneur. And I know true entrepreneurs are true leaders out here. And that's one thing we need in this world is more leaders. Absolutely.
Amen. Amen.
And that's it. That's enough. You're just gonna keep raining diamonds all night. That's enough, Kevin. We gotta say something for next episode. We gotta say something for the next time we have you on. But let's go ahead and wrap up. Just drop your handles. Where can the people find you?
Yes, absolutely. So on LinkedIn, so Kevin Taylor Jr. Okay, so you can find me, Kevin Taylor Jr. And maybe Quest, I'm not sure how this works, but I'm not sure I can send you my link, because there's a link. It's not it's not like Instagram where there's the little @ Yeah. But I'll make sure Questy and Kat and Ruby.
Oh yeah, we got you.
But it's Kevin Taylor Jr. You can find me on there. I'm pretty active on there, and I'm building a good community on there. I am also on Instagram, 11_club Noop. I'm not on there a lot. I forgot my name. But I'm on there, and then I'm also going to get my Facebook. So to answer your question, catch me on LinkedIn. But you're gonna start seeing more of me on social media, and I'm gonna start putting out some good information for you guys.
Let's do it. Well, we appreciate you dearly, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap up, at least for today's episode. So thank you so much. And anybody else, we good to go.
Yeah, drop them your information real quick, Quezzy.
Oh, you already know. Quezzy.dreams on Instagram. You can find me in the streets. You know what it is. Where can I find you, Ruby?
Come on, Ruby.
I am at Ruby Envy on Instagram, Ruby Envy on Twitter, Ruby Envy on Facebook, and I'm Kenya E. Asa on LinkedIn.
All right.
And for those that are listening right now, make sure you go check us out on our Instagram page at Heal the Hood Events. We have an event coming up June 5th, where we're going to be going into the Excelsior district of San Francisco. We're going to be feeding a few hundred people, giving away free produce, shoes, yoga mats, different things of that nature, making sure that we continue to educate, motivate, and inspire those to live a healthier life one day at a time. Also, make sure you follow us on our Facebook page at Heal the Hood 2020. If you'd like to follow my page, Cat Fitness 3 on Instagram, Cat Fitness on Facebook, and you can find me on YouTube as well, Cat Fitness. Check out my website, www.catfitnesswellnesscenter.com, if you want to get in direct contact with me if you're interested in training or just getting more educated on how to use food as your actual medicine, y'all. Getting away from these pharmaceuticals and everything that they promote into our inner city communities and really know how to really nurture and feed your body. Feel free to reach out to me. But thank you once again, Kevin, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to inspire and motivate our audience today. I know a lot of people after hearing this broadcast is going to reach out to you and be like, I'm ready to be an entrepreneur. Take that next step and get some more information. And I'm excited to have you for future episodes as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see everybody next time. Everybody enjoy the rest of your evening. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. to our live conversation on Facebook, y'all, where you get to interact with all our speakers. So until next time, we'll see you later. Peace out.
You guys take care.